Welcome back, my Dark Side crew. Tonight we are excited to have a very special guest sharing the mic with us. He's not only a world traveler seeking to bring some light to yet another dark side of our human condition and share some truth as he sees it. He's an extensive career, executive producer, talented content creator, radio personality, writer, journalist, amazing musical artist, and filmmaker. And he's currently involved with his latest projects at The Real Deal Media TV, as he and his talented, dedicated team have recently launched his special series called World at War and The Lounge. We are honored to welcome you to our dark little corner of the universe, Dean Ryan. How are you this evening?
Doing great. It's good to meet other night owls out there.
Well, like I said, I don't really sleep anymore since this all started. So,
yeah, exactly.
For those of you who may not be familiar, for people that aren't familiar with your work, can you speak a little bit about what you're working on at the moment and how you got in your latest endeavors? How'd they come about?
What I'm currently working on, I run a network called Real Deal Media, and we have a good handful of different shows. The main show is a show called The Real Deal Report, that I host along with Kristen Megan, and as well as my producer Lisa Duffy, who's in the UK. And it's a topical show from headline news to that is domestic and around the world. So we cover news that's happening just globally, from Australia to Canada, where we actually have people and that watch us to hear what's happening in their own country. But not only that, we actually have a cast at Real Deal Media, a cast of people that work here that are from Australia, from England, from Canada, and South Korea. So we have an international feel to us that came together organically because I started the Real Deal Report March 19th of 2008 in the beginning of the lockdown, and was the only one who had a concentrated focus on covering news from the South China Sea, from all over the world, because I wanted to show the people that what was happening in their neck of the woods was literally happening in mine as well. And that's why people started tuning in, because we really united people by relating our crises and sharing. So I guess that's the Cliff Note version, and it's really blossomed into a very fruitful, incredible and exciting network.
An amazing adventure. And you do have people from all over the world, not only in your show, but people tuning in from all over the world. I've watched some of your streams and they're chiming in from, hey, I'm from here, I'm from there. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I do have some people far away as Germany. So I'm really starting to get out there into the international waters. Loving it. So I've been a fan of yours for a minute now, and I do urge our listeners to see it for themselves. So tonight, we're going to take a deep dive into a topic that I find extremely fascinating and timely, the dystopian world. So Dean, think about all the programming that we've been accustomed to over our lifetime regarding the scenarios. Do you think that we're very close to living in that world, and what might that look like to you?
Well, the dystopian world, it comes in drips, and the drips comes through an act of war called subversion. Subversion is a 20-year model that it takes a 20-year ordeal to completely subvert an entire, let's just say, culture and group of people or country. And what that does is it inverts everything you know as the social norms, as the family-centric, from family-centric to pop culture to political ideology. And it's subversion and inversion as well. There's a satanic component to it as well. And communism certainly has that. But what it does is, after a 20-year period, you literally have 2 generations that are born during that time. And by the time they are of an adult age or of a thinking young adult age, everything that they know is now the new normal. Is that, you hear all these new shows,
right?
The Modern Family, all this stuff. It is getting the old 20th century model of family, going to church on Sundays, dinner here, just all those things.
No more Ozzie and Harriet.
Right, no more Ozzie and Harriet. And you don't know who the enemy is anymore.
Right.
Who's right in front of us. That's what this new normal is. That's what this great pandemic is. And that is the art of war through subversion, which is a Soviet model, in which the Chinese government, in connection with the UN, has literally done to the entire Western world.
Do you feel like it's what some people say, that it was a plan like 100 years ago to bring us to where we are now? Do you think that it was that long ago or further?
Well,
or maybe just since Kennedy? Like, how long do you think this has really been in a plan?
Well, I think, 100 years ago, we can make the case that it really started with the creation of the centralized bank, which is really the bankers and the technocratic dictators building up countries, using them for their wealth and people and land and geography, and then using their military might to reach their objectives. And once you're done with them, they destroy them into a third world to then make it a buyer's market. But, just buying up this land, that land, trafficking, etc.
Right.
But the pandemic was planned long ago. I can't really put a finger on it. I know definitely by 2009, but the plan was to get rid of nation states. And you saw it with the creation of the European Union, the EU, which came in 1954, which was trying to get Europe to look like the United States. That's what they're saying. And then they said it was just for, it would help trade better, but it was to get rid of the national sovereignty, the national identity, racial makeup, to make it all blend into one. And through that, you have the EU, which connects to the Asian Trans-Pacific Union, which they wanted to create during the Bush years, the American Union, which made Canada, America, and Mexico put together. So you have all these unions. They were trying to consolidate the world, to then make it from the very top to the bottom of a policy, meaning like the IMF Bank, all the way down. So what we have is the World Economic Forum has literally made all these mandates, all these policies that we see. You have to ask yourself, why are they all happening at the same time?
Exactly.
And why are they all happening and the rollout is the same? I even have the PDFs before this all happened, before the miracle jab rollout, how they were going to do it.
Event 201?
I have that, but I had the California state miracle jab rollout for their state employees.
Wow.
It was given to me last fall. And I tell you, it was identical to the exact terms and policies of the World Economic Forum of how they wanted this to play out.
Wow.
So it's no coincidence.
I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in a coincidence. Yeah. So then I know that I've been thinking that, like, my dad woke me up a long time ago, rest his soul. He was a very smart man and German descent, actually born there. So as far as I know, I'm also a German citizen as well, if you have a parent or grandparent. But he joined the military when he was younger, and he actually went back to Germany, and he was 9 months before getting out, and he wanted to stay there. And if they hadn't have called him back, he was planning on just living the rest of his life in Germany. But thank God he came back, whoever that was that made him come back from his military unit, because if not, I wouldn't be here. But he said if you really want to know what's going on in your country, listen to what other countries are saying about you.
Right.
So he taught me a lot of stuff. I mean, I think about all the conversations that we had, and all of it is happening. And about 6 months before he passed away in 2010, he said, you know, I'd like to live another 50 years just to see how this all plays out. And I said, no, you don't, Dad. No, you don't. So I get a little choked up. I love that guy. But he was the one that really woke me up and told me about a lot of things that were going on in the world. And I did talk about 1984 in another episode, that when I read that book, and in high school as a senior lit class, we had to write a paper on it. It freaked me out. I went home crying, and I said, Dad, is this going to happen? When's it going to happen? I was traumatized by that book more than anything I'd ever read or seen in my whole life. And he said, well, you may not see it, but maybe your children in the future or your grandchildren will have to rise against it. And that wasn't what I wanted to hear, but it's what I needed to hear. Because then at that point, I think I really started my discovery on just absorbing everything I possibly could. And quite honestly, Dean, being awake sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because how can you relate to 90% of the population?
Right. Well, and it's interesting. It just depends what population you're hanging out with. You know, what community are you hanging with? Like for me,
right?
People around me. I mean, this is all I talk about. So it's like I almost have to dumb myself down sometimes just to take a break.
Yes.
So it's in pockets. It's in pockets.
You got to take doses, you know?
Right. And, I'm so immune to it, just like doctors are immune to, working at in the ER room, when people are coming in with massive traumas and et cetera. And so does it suck? I mean, it can, but then it just depends, because people are experiencing different realities right now.
Right.
If you go somewhere, if you go to a very, let's just say, conservative, maybe type of town in Texas or Florida, maybe, that reality is much different than the reality in Manhattan right now or West Hollywood, where you literally think if somebody gets close to you, you're going to die of a fictitious virus from a bat who loves us. It's just...
I still walk around seeing the masks, and I'm like, okay, people, I get it. You're still scared. Okay. So I never want to hurt anybody, and I never want to hurt anyone's feelings, and I never want to make people feel stupid. And it's not my job necessarily to wake them up. I've kind of given up on that. It used to really bother me, because I would be like, look, I've given you all the information. Why can't you see it? Why can't you just wake up? And it used to really piss me off. And so now I've taken the stance that, okay, I get it. We all wake up in our own time, when we're ready. And a lot of people are not ready, because then that puts responsibility on them that they might have to really do something about it, right?
We have a population of people that have given their power away and their sovereignty away to unknown persons who walk and are accredited in the world of prestige, who know better than us, who drink a glass of Chardonnay with their pinky up. They know better than us.
Right.
And so people are so used to giving their power away. And that happens in a very decadent society. In a decadent society, especially America, where technology has replaced religion and the deity, so to speak, that is all, and we're just so enamored with that. We're enamored with the social media psyop, which is, creating narcissism like we've never seen before.
Yes.
In the world.
The selfie world. All the selfies.
The selfie world.
Right.
So just like the fall of Rome and Babylon, as society falls, gladiatorial sports go up, cage fighting, chariot racing back then, and the over sexualized culture increases.
Right.
And that's what happens. It's as a distraction as the society falls, and a more darker one begins. Now, in this case, there's a race to the top, which is also like a race to the bottom. You have to bottom out before you can race to the top and build again.
That's true.
Right now, we're experiencing a race to the top of what is the next new society going to look like, and who's going to control the future. Well, you have a world elites, some who just want to be the kingpins of their own, have all the money. Then you have the other ones that not just necessarily want to be the kingpins, but they want to kill everybody. They don't want anyone else at the party.
Right.
And they're called Satanists. And that's what you saw literally in Godfather Part 2.
Oh, what an amazing movie.
Yeah.
But again, the programming, right?
Well, you have the families who, they're saying, we have this section, we respect you guys over there and this family over here. But then they came together, remember, because one of the mob families started doing drug trafficking, prostitution, which was...
they had rules.
Symbolism.
They had rules. And if you didn't follow the rules and you didn't go through the right channels to do something, you were going to pay, And today, that's the problem. We don't have any rules. We are ruled, but we don't, as a society, have any rules anymore. People are just doing whatever they want, and it brings to mind the criminal elite who never get charged for having their hand in that cookie jar. You're caught red-handed, but you never pay. Why?
Right. Well, it's a degradation of society. It's rotting. The culture. What is American culture? Some of these people.
I don't even know anymore.
Tell you.
What does it mean to be an American anymore? I don't know. And I know that it's not looking good. From where I'm standing, it's not looking too good right now to be really anywhere in the world. Like, I have some friends that have moved down to Mexico, and I said, but you have the cartels down there, and is it even any better? They moved from New York to Mexico about 6 months ago. They said, we're getting out of here before they lock the doors and we can't get out. And I said, they're not going to lock the doors. But now look at what you're saying, what you were talking about on your show tonight about with Canada, locking the doors. Can they not leave?
Well, let me start with Mexico, because I spoke about that last night, and I know where people go. Mexico is not our friend.
No, not at all.
A lot of the expats that you described, who are coming from here, Canada, especially Germany was one of them, they're all going to a place called Tulum. Now, it looks great. Tulum doesn't follow, the mandates and all that. But cartels run the show, and cartels will pick on the tourist. They will steal at a friend she had her purse stolen, snatch from her, and they'll rape and pillage at will. And you have the Chinese military, literally, in Baja California. You have them in Tijuana. Now, what the cartels won't do, they're not going to kill their customers. So a lot of people go to Acapulco. Okay. It's a violent place, but that's where people go because you're there because if you buy the drugs from them, then you can go unscathed. But they focus on the tourist areas. And what happened is, Mexico is part of the G7, and they're making dealings with China, and they'll round people up just like they rounded the Jews up and kick them out. If you don't look like the locals, they'll know who you are. You'll be targeted. Now, in regards to, did we say Canada? Okay, Canada, the word we got was due to the new Biden rules and regulations for people from Canada to cross into the border to the U.S. by November 8th, you have to present a passport, a miracle passport.
Yet the southern border is going to still remain wide open.
Right, and it's just wide open. But a lot of those people that are coming here from the southern border are coming in through private companies that are trucking companies that work here, and they're getting dealings with guards and border patrol. And
so everyone's just on the take, right? Is what I'm really understanding about all of this, is that everyone from the White House to the cartels, everybody's making money. Everyone is trafficking children and people all over the place, and everyone's just getting rich, and we're just stuck here in the middle paying the bill for all of this, and with our lives too. I mean, quite honestly, people are dying. They're dying from the jabs. They're dying from starvation. They are dying from losing their jobs. They're dying from depression, suicide rates. I mean, I don't even know what's going on anymore. I don't even know where we are. Like, this is not Earth. This somehow we got put somewhere else in some, like you're saying here, dystopian society. Like, this is craziness.
It's the end of the petrodollar. It's the end of the American dollar, which has been the world reserve currency. And they're now, other countries are figuring there's no gold behind it. So as the centralized banking is ending, and the new one's beginning, they don't want the leftovers. So the pensioners, the retirees, the welfare class.
Yeah, they don't want to pay them, so kill them.
Exactly. They don't want to carry these people over. They don't want to carry them over.
Yeah.
And because I don't know, we have 8 generations of welfare families in America.
At least.
1965.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. What are those people going to do if welfare ends tomorrow?
Wasn't that a Kennedy thing?
It was LBJ.
Was it?
Enacted that. Yes.
Okay. And Kennedy did something control with it as well. I forget what that was.
Yeah. I'm not
something
sure
with welfare.
Aspect.
Yeah.
Right. I know it came 1965. You had the Civil Rights Act around that same time, which, that's a whole other thing too, because you got rid of private property rights. But so we're seeing the end of civilization, the end of the banking system. You're seeing in the new industry, the fourth industrial revolution, which is going to be the smart cities. They're ready to roll that out. But it's not going to work with this many people on Earth. So they have to rid the useless eaters and bottom feeders, to quote Prince Philip.
And I don't think it's going to work with this administration, because whoever's running the show there, we know it's not Biden, but whoever is running the show, I feel like they have overplayed their hand too fast, too much, too soon, that if Trump did anything, I mean, I didn't vote for Trump in 2016 and I didn't want Hillary. I just said, I'm out. Whatever's going to happen is just going to be a nightmare anyway. But he did a lot of good. He could have done much more, but he did do a lot of good as far as waking up the people to what's been going on for a long time. So now, regardless of whether he comes back or not, the people just aren't going to fall for this shit anymore. They're just not having it. No, we don't have all the power that we think we do by marching in the streets. To me, honestly, that doesn't do anything,
Right.
But you have to find other ways. Like last night, like yesterday, I meant to vote, but I didn't vote. And I said, you know what? They're just going to use the same old stupid machines again anyway, so I'm just not playing this. I didn't vote for a long time. I did vote for Ron Paul, and I wrote his name in, right, because it was Obama and whoever, and so
Romney.
Yes. So Romney, they let Romney steal it because I was watching that night the Miami RNC, and when the guy said all yays, nays, blah blah blah, people erupted because they know what just happened in front of their face. They just stole it from Ron Paul and gave it to Romney, and I said, that is it, I'm out. And do you know they had tanks lined up around the community center or wherever they were at in Miami? They were ready for riots, so they already knew what they were going to do. And then they had tanks and a big fence around the building ready for riots to break out. That didn't happen, of course, but I stopped voting after that. I was like, okay, so this is all a big scam and it really doesn't matter. So I'm going there and I'm writing his name in it, and that will be my last ballot ever. And it was until this year with Trump, And I'm in Ohio and we are a red state, but I swear to God, it's becoming a little purple. I don't know what's going on here.
Well, Governor DeWine of Ohio
can't stand
was
him.
One of the first governors to really enact the quarantine camps.
Yes.
For protection. And he's totally compromised. Totally compromised.
Absolutely.
You don't even have to. In what he's done, you can see it written all over his face.
He looks like a clown, but he looks like Howdy Doody or something, or I don't know. He's just got this queer looking face that he's lying. And he's got this smile on his face that he's lying. And then he had this Amy whatever as the medical doctor or whatever with him the whole time. She was getting death threats and all kinds of horrible mail and stuff like halfway through the beginning of all this, that she dropped out. She said, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. People are coming after me, and all I'm trying to do is get him through a pandemic, so she opted out, and he was kind of on his own after that. But I'll tell you who we really do like is Jim Jordan here, and we would love it if Jim was our governor here, but that's not happening. But I love how he speaks out in Washington. He calls you on the carpet. He'll just pull it out and keep bashing you with your own truth, and people can't handle it, but it's the way it is. Somebody's got to do it, and Jim is up for the job. So, but I get it. Like, I don't know where it's gonna go. Things have been getting really bad for a while now, and if you look back at the past year and a half, all the riots, the savageness, the criminals, since the George Floyd episode, it took me back to the Rodney King era, in the 90s. And I was like, this is what these people do. They use these as trigger points,
right?
For societal breakdown. And that's when they come in with their new laws and their new rules. And then people try to fight against it, but eventually they just get beaten down, and then they go for it. They're like, all right, whatever, you can't fight City Hall, let's just do it. No. Nothing ever changes if you just go along to get along,
Right.
I can't deal with people like that. Honestly, personally, I as long as anyone's ever known me, I feel like if you don't have integrity and if you don't have honesty, and my dad pretty much raised us that way, that your word is all you've got. You have nothing else. You could be the richest person, the poorest person, whatever. It doesn't matter, because if your word is shit, so are you. And it doesn't take long for the world to see it. So I only personally try to be around people that have integrity, and honesty with me. And I know it right away. I wonder sometimes how I got involved with some narcissists in relationships, but that's another whole story for another day. It doesn't take too long to see it. And then when I do, I just cut people like a knife, like they're gone. I don't say goodbye, nothing. You're gone, and then what you did later, right? Are you still with me?
Oh, no, I was sorry. I accidentally pressed me. No.
I thought I hit a button here.
Yeah, I agree. People like their captors. They like the Stockholm syndrome has gone way beyond Sweden and way beyond.
It's global now.
Yeah, it's a global Stockholm syndrome that has been rolled out through identity politics and groupthink. The dumbing down society, the detriment of the pop culture, and you can listen to any top 40 mainstream hit song,
And I don't.
it's
but it is. It's culture.
Weapons.
Yeah, it is the culture,
right.
And it's kind of what they've poisoned the young minds with. Everything is about sex, and it's about the selfies, and it's about how much money and getting that bag, and getting my nails done and my hair done, and I got to go hit this and I got to hit that, and like that's all it is. Like I think we were talking about trying to date. And I just can't. Like I was dating someone prior to the pandemic, right? And he was a narcissist. He was I want to say cerebral / covert, meaning he was all flamboyant and all out there, and everybody look at me, Mr. Perfect hair, clothes, whatever. But at the same time, it started opening my eyes to, oh boy, we're not doing this. So he went on some vacation for 2 weeks to like 4 different countries. Yet the guy had just started at a new job, right? And I was like, how are you affording that? Wait, what? You got some secret stash somewhere? But anyway, I didn't hear from him for like 2 weeks, right? And I was like, no, this is bullshit. Not doing this. So I basically sent him a text at the end because he didn't answer his phone. And I said I was going to send the police to see if he was okay, because I know he had went to Dominican Republic, right? And that was at the time when people were dying down there. So I was genuinely kind of worried, but still pissed, So then I get a text, hey, how you doing? No, I'm good. In fact, I'm in Florida right now, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? You could just stay there. I'm good. So I haven't really dated because then the pandemic happened and I was like, okay, so now what? And then the jab came out and I'm like, okay, now what? So like everything keeps getting pushed back, and I've gotten to the point where I'm thinking, this is it, like you're just going to grow old alone, and that's that. Because I honestly don't want to be around people. I call it infected, I don't know any other way to look at it, because if other people are getting sick around you, then we don't know. That's the thing. We don't know about this, what it can do, who it can infect, because like say example, I know that you had one guest on your show one time that has a partner who got the jab and they didn't. And so now think about intimacy with that person, like even just kissing them, like you're sharing it's kind of going back to the AIDS day, right? Like what happens? Like, are they going to get it now? Like, I don't know. So I just said, you know what? I'm out. I'm just working on my business, and I'm just, for now, until this all calms down and we kind of know more about it, I'm just out. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's very hard. We actually started a new series called Apocalypse Dating.
I saw one of those. Yeah, I saw the one episode that you did. Yeah. It was hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
It was so funny.
Very competitive. Very competitive.
Very, right? And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I think I commented on one of your posts and said you should start a dating site for the non-miracled,
Right.
But people would still lie because why? Because they want to get it. They want to hit that, and I'm just going to tell them what they need to hear so that we can get together, and it's that hit it and quit it culture. You were talking about culture. Hit it, quit it, move on to the next. I can't relate to any of that. I'm not from that generation, so I really can't even understand it. I have tried to step out there and do that, but I don't know. I don't even understand the mindset. So I'm like, girl, stop trying to be something that you are not even relating with,
Right. It's definitely a culture, a disconnect rather.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, especially in this time, is when you meet that one person who does understand, who does get it, who sees the world and shares that philosophy and knows the dangers, that is the person you want to hold on to for dear life. And sometimes in this time of war, those people, they have to leave, maybe because of, there's so many refugees now from California that are going everywhere. We now have war refugees. It's a real thing, just like, after the fall of the Soviet Union, you had people leaving, and before the Berlin Wall was hit, and Chechens, etc. But the people that get it now are the people that you gravitate to more now than ever. And,
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. I find that to be so true. Like I was saying, I can't even relate to anybody on the other side, if you will. And I hate to say that there's sides. To me, it's not a right and a left thing. I just don't want to think about that, because that is agreeing to the division, right?
Sure. But to upon your point, before I forget, is because you said it's hard to tell, who's been jabbed and who's not. I think it's very easy to tell. I think it's very easy to tell because of where you stand in this great time of challenge. Very clear as day now where people stand in this polarized global war.
If they got a mask on, if they got the mask on, they probably got the jab, right? So
there you go. I think it's very easy to tell. I think it's very easy to tell.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's funny because I have family members that are jabbed, and then I have some that are not. Like a little sister, she has not gotten it, and she said, my boss would just love you because you and him, you speak the same language. And that's what I'm thinking that you're getting to, is that it really truly is a language that if you're not of it, you don't understand it when someone's speaking to you, and you're looking like a deer in the headlights because you're thinking, what are they saying? What is this about? You're one of those conspiracy people. I get it. Okay, so as soon as they bring that word up, then I know, okay, you're definitely not on the same level, And that's it. That's exactly it. And now I have an older sister who is a Democrat, long time, and I tried to tell her about, I call him Obama, right? I tried to tell her about him years ago, and I said, you just don't understand. And she says, oh, no, he's great. He's charming, and he's very, modern, and he's a great speaker, and he's going to unify, all of this stuff. And I said, okay, that's great, but he's a Muslim who wants to destroy the world, and America. And you don't get that part? And she's like, oh, no, he's not. No, he said he's a Christian. Okay. So, we're totally politically polarized. I'm way over there and she's way over there. And I just told her, I said, please don't get the booster. Please don't do it. And she says, well, I had to get it because I'm in the medical field, so I had to. And I said, no, you didn't have to. You chose to. Because look at all the nurses now and doctors that have walked out. I'm so proud of them. I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there. I'm so proud of anybody who is knowing that the future isn't going to be so bright right now, but they're choosing to stand on the right side of history and say, we're not doing this. You're not putting these foreign things in our bodies. You're not going to make us do it. And if that means that I have to do something else for right now, it may not be paying me what I was making as a doctor, or maybe they have money in the bank and they can ride this out. I don't know. But I'm so proud of them, All last week I was like, yes, there's more, So, well, you saw the electric people in Ohio here that walked out, 700 of them. General Electric, GE. They had enough. They just walked out. And it's amazing. But like I was saying, Trump woke a lot of people up. I mean, even if he never comes back, he started a movement that cannot be denied. It just can't. And I love what you said tonight, that he was the cursor. wherever he goes, that's where you're looking.
Right.
I was like, yes, that's true.
He was, he was. He was the enema of the nation.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right. Because it got a reaction, and good, bad, or indifferent, it got a reaction. It was like when paramedics come over and you're on the ground and they get the heart attack machine and just start pumping your chest. We've been on life support for so long. But, it's a story that's very, very Rome-esque, a very Greek tragedy. The Trump story, and the story of the American story, civilization. And, it's not over yet. It's not necessarily over.
What do you think their end game is? Like, if we can't stop this in its tracks, like yesterday, what do you see, in your opinion, knowing all that you know, for a long time, being as awake as you are, what do you see as the ultimate end game for them? I get the one world thing. I understand that part. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Too many oceans between us, right? But what do you think is going to be, say they can't, say for some miracle, lack of a better word, say they can't get a foothold, at least, and take down America. What do you think is coming next, in your opinion? Where do you think we're going with this? Like bombs or what?
Well, the one thing stopping the full consolidation is the United States, due to the sole fact we have firearms.
Right.
What the people walking out of their jobs is exactly what they want, although staying and getting, the miracles is, you're going to die. So to weaken the American system in the country, you have to get rid of the infrastructure. Well, that's the infrastructure, the people working in power plants, the medical field, the military.
The cops.
China's not, they're not inoculating their people. So
the EMTs.
To replace that, just like when they replace union workers in grocery stores with foreigners, that's what they want to do. They want the UN to fully come in China. It's really China, but with the UN uniforms and all that stuff coming in, and to the big cities, the big metroplex.
Do you think?
Fully take over.
Do you think that is part of this reason for the big influx in the southern border? They're going to give them our jobs.
Yes. Well, our jobs replace, and then you also sneak in the Muslim Brotherhood, foreign men with the cache of weapons that have been hidden around the country in mansions and under state capitol buildings, which we totally exposed last year.
I heard Obama had some in California, under some big building.
I was the one who exposed that. Yeah, that was California State, the government building. Or state capitol building, excuse me.
Wow.
Yeah, I exposed that in August of last year. Or no, May of last year. I exposed that.
Might have been just before I saw your show. Yeah. But I don't remember where I read that or seen it or heard it. For all I know, maybe it was your show, but that was pretty amazing. And that he bought so many millions of bullets and gave them to the Social Security offices.
Okay. I was the catalyst for that, and then it got picked up by other news organizations, Natural News, and other independent. So what that was there was in 2015, Obama gave Department of Homeland Security 1.5 billion rounds of hollow point bullets with over 7,000 fully automatic weapons. Fully automatic weapons are used for crowd control.
Wow.
Plus tanks and other weapons of war. Nobody knew where they went. They weren't accounted for. I had a whistleblower come clean to me and told me they're underneath the state capitol building of California. And they're being handed out by the CHP, the California Highway Patrol, which is like the state troopers in Ohio or other states.
Wow.
And they're giving them, along with the state FDA, they're giving them to the Antifa type, right there across the border in Oregon, who are then coming in to California and handing those out because they planned on doing another planned riot hood after the manufactured one in May with George Floyd, the fake dead guy.
Right. And that's why I was saying it. I think they use these episodes, to start the craziness. Right. And then once it gets out of control, everyone's going at each other like, no, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. It's a race thing. Right. No, it's that. It's this, It's
the CIA. This is the CIA playbook. They did it with the Arab Spring. They did it with the Arab Spring in Egypt and Iran and all the, many years ago. And it's now the American Spring. It's Obama's American Spring.
Wow.
So that's what they're doing.
So then, so you're saying they're just going to, we're going to be the slaves, but more of a slave than we ever really were. I mean, we're all slaves, but they're going to use the foreigners to take over the jobs. Have you looked at them lately? These people coming over the border? I don't even think most of these people could be the garbage man. I mean, they look like young military-aged men. I'm like, where's the families at that they're talking about? Where are they? These guys look like they're just early 20s, ready for war, and it's pretty scary. It's really scary if you think about it, because I don't think that I hate to use the word lily white Americans, but yeah, we have all the guns, but people aren't going to do that. They're not going to shoot another person. I mean, not a lot of people. I think some people will. But I don't think a lot of, I love shooting, and I go to the range, and I have what do you call it? It was my dad's. It's 360, something like that. And it fits in my hand just perfectly, right? It's a smaller one. And then I went shopping the other day, and I was going to buy another one, maybe like a 45 or something a little more powerful, right? Because I love going shooting. And then I'm like, but I don't want to waste the bullets because they're so scarce now. Like, ammo is really scarce.
Well, it's there's going to be an insurrection. There's going to be a response to it all. And it's building up. It's happening soon. But probably in closing here, because I have another production meeting I have to head to, I would love to.
We'll do a part 2.
Sure. Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Yeah, why don't we do that? But I guess closing, it's...
Yeah, give me your final thoughts here, Dean.
Yeah, final thought is, what the hand of the deep state and the global elites are, because it's pretty obvious. It was foretold. We see it all around us. There's no doubt about it. In the game of chess, that their next moves are going to be through a rook and or bishop. We don't know the next hand of the quote, we don't know the rebuttal of the quote white hats.
Right.
And that's what is very concerning for the deep state, because what do the white hats have? They have the Epstein stuff. They have the election fraud.
Trump says they have it all. So
exactly. So that's why you see the acceleration that you're seeing right now, whether it's planned right hoods or the miracle jab rollout, because they're preparing. That's why they're saying, Biden said to a kid, don't answer tough questions, kids. Don't ask. Don't talk to your neighbors. Wear your mask.
Right.
Stay away from people. And that's why, because
it's 6 feet apart.
Down, which is satanic. But when it's going to come, it's going to be a wrecking ball, and there's not going to be a leg to stand on for the deep state. And so that's what that's what we talk about nightly at Rodeo Media, and all the personalities of our cast that we put out there, because talking about it is understanding it. Understanding it is knowing how to resist it, because it's one thing to fight in a war, but if you don't know what you're fighting for, then you're not fighting for anything.
This is true. I'm going to leave it with that. I'm going to say thank you, Dean, for joining us tonight, as it's been fun and enlightening, to say the least. We'll definitely have to do this again, a part 2 or so. And tell our listeners how they can find you, how they can get in touch with you. I will leave your info in the show notes, but let them know where they can find you and about your new fall collection. I'll have info on that as well. The Real Deal Media Gear.
Yeah, yes, you can find me at realdealmedia.tv. Also, we're on all the social media platforms. Well, there's so many of them, so that's not entirely true.
You'll send me a list, and I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah. We're on Facebook.com/The Real Dean Ryan. Mm-hmm. Also, Real Deal Media and Nite on Facebook. And we're on Brighteon.com.
Are you still on there? I wanted to ask you about that, if you were still on Brighteon. I didn't, know if you were still on there.
No, we're not on Brighteon TV. That's a long story. But,
okay, another time.
Yeah, it's a long one. But people, just check it out. We're a nightly show. We're a late night show every night at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome.
And so
definitely. And then one of these times I'll call into your show. I've been wanting to call in, but I was on the Facebook jail for a while. I'm able to go on and watch a podcast, and sometimes I can comment and sometimes I can't. I don't know what it is, what their rules are, but when you're in the jail, as you know, there's limited things you can do. But I haven't tried to call in, so I don't know if that works or doesn't work. Awesome. So good to talk to you tonight. We'll let you go. Get on with your next production and look forward to our next time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on, and speak to you soon.
We'll see you real soon. Have a good night.
All right, bye.
So that was an amazing interview with Dean Ryan, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Be sure to check out his site and his episodes and tell him that we sent you. We've come to the end of the episode and my favorite part, the quote of the day. Live every day as if you come back in time from a dystopian future to try and prevent everything from breaking. Charlie Jane Anders. So my dark side crew, remember, if today has you feeling anxious, confused, triggered, or even a little weary, take a moment right now to quiet your mind. Just breathe. Let go of all of your distractions. Embrace your mindfulness. Focus your intentions on what you really want. Clarify and let go of that which no longer serves you. Remember, your determination is your power and your peace to realize your true purpose, as these brief but mindful moments can allow a new path to arise. So till next time, walk in the light on the dark side, right here where your vibe attracts your tribe.